Well, we're back with the CRF450RL and we're modifying it, but this time a little bit different. I'm more excited about this one because not only are we modifying, but we're modifying with something that I designed and produced myself. So let me tell you about it and let me give you a chance to get one for free. So I figured I'd talk you through the process now after it's all said and done. This was a very long one and I didn't quite film everything. But I will show you what I did film, starting with the original idea. So since installing this, I always wanted to have a dedicated spot in order to put this, some kind of panel or plate to make it look as clean as possible, as factory as possible. I know other people with this gauge have put it, basically zip tied it or stuck it somewhere, like on the back of this with the wiring harness, zip tied it to that, or even just stick it to the top of the triple clamp here, or even somewhere on the bars. But I wanted something that looked a little bit more OEM. And so at the time, at least, I put this kind of hacked together aluminum bar that I just kind of put in at the last minute, and it works perfectly fine, don't get me wrong, but it just, it looks DIY, obviously. So I wanted to make something a little less hack. As luck would have it, around that time, someone actually posted about this on a thread on Thumper Talk. They provided images and were even kind enough to give me the file directly. I thought, great, all I have to do is 3D print this thing and I'll be good. However, his design was a little bit different. And here it is. So this is a copy of the 3D print file that I received. Basically, it's just a flat cut, and I just made this out of a bunch of different pieces of construction paper all glued together to give it a little bit of thickness here on the Cricut that I have that I was able to cut this out of. And it's a really nice design, don't get me wrong, but there's a couple of things with this one that I don't particularly like. So I have everything all apart right here, and if you can see right here, the dashboard connects in 3 different spots. There's one post here, and then there's 2 on each side. But if you look closer, this one and this one are on different levels. So this middle post is actually longer than this one and this one on the other side here. So what this is intended to do is that this middle bit right here actually slides onto this, kind of wedges between this metal bracket and the rubber right here, and then the outside, the other piece, these holes here on either side just fit to the outside right here. And it works pretty well, I think, but a couple things with that. What it does is it actually pushes the dashboard a lot further down so that this gauge would actually be sitting more like here rather than here, level with the dashboard itself. And so it kind of sinks in to the shroud, basically behind the headlight, and I didn't really like the fitment there. So I went back to the hacked up aluminum bar I had to begin with and started getting familiar with Tinkercad, this web-based design software, to improve upon my original design. So here's our original cut, or at least my cardboard cutout version of the 3D print, and we have my aluminum bar, the original, the OG. But as you can see here, we have done quite a bit. So this is what a month and a half of trial and error looks like. So basically what I wanted to do was, I liked this original design, so it's right up against the dashboard. So this one has 4 holes because for whatever reason behind the 2 where the screw holes are in at the bottom here, the dashboard has 2 additional holes. I'm not sure why, but for whatever reason it's there. So I had to account for that. And then I wanted to take the general shape, at least the total dimensions here, the total height, total width. I liked that. So matched that, kind of blended the 2 and started making some attempts at a new design. Here are the different progressions here. A lot of them look the same. Every single one of these attempts was quite a process. So basically every single attempt, what I had to do here was tweak the design in Tinkercad, flatten it down, save it as an STL file. Then I had to upload that into the Cricut, cut out a cardboard piece of this, and then fit it behind the dashboard, and then make any changes that I had to do from there to the next attempt. And so basically what these attempts do is just fine tune the holes mostly, making sure, so like for one, I would probably have like the diameter was too small, so I had to widen it, and then maybe it was too far to one side, so then I'd have to adjust it. And basically I did that over and over and over over again until I finally got one that was perfect. Now here, the cardboard edition, this is where the holes were perfectly aligned, but then came time to kind of customizing it a little bit. So what I wanted was to have a specific cutout here for the cord of the 12 O'Clock Labs mini gauge to hide behind, rather than going up and around like I currently have. Then put it on the wrong side, always got to make sure of that. And then we finally have this one, the final piece. This is the final blank template. I was going to originally just like make this and then just drill out the holes for the 12 O'Clock Labs mini gauge and whatever else I wanted to add to it. But I figured if I'm gonna print this out or cut this out, then I might as well just like align those dots and those drill holes and just have it in the design to begin with, so that way it's nice and it's clean. And on top of that, I was thinking about also mounting some other things to this, particularly this, which is a USB charger. So it's a waterproof little cover right here. It has two USB 3.0 plugs, so that way I can charge my phone, charge my camera, whatever else I need to have on the bike. I figured that would be a nice place to put it rather than it currently being just on the side of the handlebars where it's, not the cleanest. Measured this out with the calipers, measured the 12 O'Clock Labs gauge with all the calipers and lined up everything, and then came to this one. This is my final custom cut, I'll call it. I mounted this up with the dashboard and I put the 12 O'Clock Labs gauge and the USB port onto this, and even though it's not the most structural thing in the world, it does fit up pretty well, so I think it's gonna work. So after months of trial and error, setting it aside, revisiting it, it finally came time to make it. So today's the day, production day. So I'm gathering up all the equipment and we're gonna go find the laser cutter and actually print this stuff out, or cut this stuff out I should say, for the first time. So we have the assortment of everything. We have the acrylic, obviously, the two sheets here. This is 12 by 24. I don't know how many cuts I'm gonna get out of that, maybe 8 or so, we'll see. And then of course just bringing along some of the pieces to make sure everything fits up just fine. I have the dashboard here, the 12 O'Clock Labs gauge with the nuts and bolts, so make sure that lines up, and of course my USB charger right here to make sure that all that lines up. I also have some of the cutouts that I did. I don't think I'm gonna need this stuff, but just in case, because I did a rough test fit with this one, the final version, with all the cutouts for my specific setup, as well as just the blank one right here, just the blank template. And this was all thanks to a very well-known creator, engineer, educator extraordinaire, my mom.
Alright, so which one do you want me to try first?
Let's do the custom cut first.
Your lines are right, because otherwise they wouldn't show up. With red, it just doesn't show up if it's wrong. Okay, so what we want to do is move this puppy right up into the corner.
Because it can go right up to the edge?
Yep. Black is going to engrave, and then the red will cut. So let's see if it's going to... So this will cause the machine to move.
So that'll tell it where to...
That's where it's going to end.
Okay.
The furthest down it's going to go is there.
Looks about right.
And then that top line is going to be right there. It's very expensive calibration piece.
Very expensive.
It's $250 to replace it.
Oh, you weren't joking?
No,
it's just a piece of plastic.
I know, but it's calibrated. Don't look at it.
You tell me that now.
I know.
The final step was just to hit it with a little bit of spray paint on the engraving just to make it pop. And then the best part. The most satisfying part. We get to peel it off and see what we have. Oh yeah. Oh, that looks so nice. Beautiful. I absolutely love the way these things came out. With the exception of the logo, you would look at this and think that it came off the showroom floor with it. Mounting this up was pretty easy too. All you have to do is just unscrew the 3 bolts that hold the original dashboard in place, take it off, slide the plate on behind it, and then screw it back in. It's pretty simple. Although I will say I did also shave off a little bit of the rubber grommets behind the dashboard, just enough for the thickness of the plate, so that way the screws still tighten up easy. I gotta say, I really love the way these things look. They are just fantastic. This black looks super sleek. But this is me we're talking about here. I need more red, so had to go with the translucent red. This thing really looks the part. Now that the panel looks the part, we gotta make sure it acts the part. With a little bit of product testing right here. We gotta make sure it does its job. Not that it has much to do, literally just has to hold whatever gauges, gadgets that you or I would want to put on it. I want to make sure, just for my own sanity, that the material will hold up under the conditions. Especially because this is not a street bike. This is going to be primarily, for most people, an off-road bike, a serious off-road bike at that. So they got to make sure that these pieces, these items, will hold up to a serious off-road setting. It is acrylic, it's not metal, but at the same time, I think that's a good thing because it allows for a little bit of flex. And while it is only an 1/8 inch or 3 millimeters, the snapping point would be along halfway up the panel, and the width of it is only 3.5 inches. With that short of a distance, I don't think it's gonna be prone to snapping. There's not enough leverage there. So obviously I think it's gonna hold up in this setting, in a street setting, because what's the worst set I'm gonna hit? A pothole? Maybe a curb? Consider this a baby step. Next step up will be off-road. Here's a real-world test. There we go. There's a little bit of impact testing. This panel is super awesome, and with the materials that I had, I was able to make a dozen of these. So I have a dozen for anyone else that has a 450RL, 450L, or even a 450X. It'll work for all of those. So for these first 12, if you want one of these and you're in the US, $10. $10 is all it takes. Email me down below, alex@lexdfox.com, with your interest, and I'll get you set up. In addition to the 12 black, I also have this spare translucent red. So we're gonna make this one the special edition and the giveaway. So here's what we'll do. If you want to enter to get this for free, do 3 things for me. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below with the phrase "I want." Nothing else, just "I want." And you will be entered to win. I'll give you 30 days to do this from the posting of this video, so you have until this date right here to enter. After all entries are closed, I will pick one of you at random, and you will get this red translucent accessory panel, the special edition, for free. But if you're watching this after the 30 days or after the first dozen have been sold, no worries. Email me, alex@lexdfox.com, with your interest, and if I get enough interested, I'll do another batch. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, declare "I want" in the comments down below to be entered for the free red edition, and thanks for watching. Now if I can only figure out why my screen is blank.